What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Knackers, and today is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, and this is episode number 153. It's awesome to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry I'm late. Tonight is a special episode. We're tackling a specific topic, so I felt like I needed to bring on a crypto god, and his name is Arcadys. I hope to God I said that right, because I've never said your name out loud. What up, dog?
What's up, man? You said it well enough.
Yeah. I was like, shit, what if I have him on and the first time I say his name is out loud is wrong? So I'm close to that. I'm glad that I got close enough. How you doing today, man?
I'm getting there.
Getting there? You drinking straight vodka?
Oh, I wish, man. No, this is water. I'm trying to stay more hydrated, and this one's got nice labels on it. So
is that glass or is that plastic? It looks like frosted glass.
It does.
Fancy. It's like all the people drinking Voss are looking at that going, oh, shit, what kind of water is that? It's fancy-ass water.
There you go.
Has staying properly hydrated been, like, a struggle for you growing up? Or have you, like, always just... I always drink a shit ton of water. It doesn't bother me.
Growing up, I was a little bit more in shape. So I would drink a lot of water then. But then as an adult, I kind of started putting that by the wayside. And that led to kind of health problems, and now I'm trying to get back into the habit.
It is incredibly difficult for me to just sit and drink water. Like I can wake up and go 10 hours without having a sip of water. I don't know what it is, but I just sometimes don't have. My body doesn't tell me to drink water. It's like I'll drink lemonade, or I can eat a sandwich. My body tells me when I'm hungry. I'm sure that my body tells me when I'm thirsty. I'm not listening to it properly.
Yeah. Got to a really bad point where I was in Orlando with my dad going to a conference. And I got this terrible abdominal pain. In fact, I told my dad about the abdominal pain, and he's had a burst appendix. And he's like, it sounds like your appendix might have burst. I go to the doctor and I look at, and they look at it, they feel like, no, it's not your appendix. And then they test me and they're like, okay, well, you're just really dehydrated. So you're like, what? So they're like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, this, I don't think I've ever been this dehydrated. So they're just like, okay, well, go get freaking 6 Gatorades from Wawa, bring it home and drink them. And lo and behold, I drink 6 Gatorades from Wawa and I'm fine.
See, everybody, Wawa's healthy. I don't care what anybody tells you.
It can mess you up, man.
Dude. And what I started to realize later in life was, do you find yourself very affected or little affected by what you eat? Like, can you eat garbage food for like a week straight and still like stay up until 3 o'clock playing World of Warcraft? Or are you like, you eat fast food and then you feel like immediate garbage?
I feel like immediate garbage. I'm trying to eat better, but fruits and vegetables. But no, if I got pizza tonight because of the podcast, but I'm just like, I already feel I'm gonna freaking crash after this podcast.
Right, feel weighted. Tell us about the pizza. What'd you get?
I got Domino's. I got the pepperoni and Italian sausage on the medium, and that's the stuff, man. I love their crust.
I wish we had good Domino's around here. The only time that we get Domino's is those bread bowl pasta bowls. Have you ever gotten those from there? Do you like pasta?
Yes.
Okay, if you really want to feel like garbage, get their chicken carbonara bread bowl. So it's literally, they take pizza dough and they form a bread bowl, and then they put pasta. So it's pasta, white sauce, chicken, bacon, mushrooms, onion. Feel like there's something else, but dude, and then once you're done eating the pasta, you just fucking eat the bowl, and it's one of the greatest things ever. You will feel like trash immediately after.
Nothing but carbs.
It's straight carbs.
Nothing but carbs.
Well, my dude, so you've been a part of the community for a super, super long time, and it's always crazy to find somebody that's been a really long, like a long time viewer or long time community member, and then to see kind of topic pop up later down the road that I have in common. So like obviously before, we've talked a lot via DMs and on Twitter and stuff. And I would say like crypto's probably one of the things that you've been crazy passionate about that I've all of a sudden got. I don't want to say I'm passionate about it, but like I'm super, super intrigued about it because I know nothing about it. I just noticed you have a fucking Bitcoin hat on, and that's fucking awesome. So the reason I wanted to have you on, one, selfishly to educate me on Bitcoin and this new NFT craze. And I know you just know so much about it. So before we start getting into the technicalities and kind of like the origin story, how did you get into crypto? Like, where did crypto start in your life?
I've been interested in technology for a long time. And I kind of go down these rabbit holes, my entire life, just doing research on all kinds of stuff. And back last year, when COVID hit and all this money printing started to happen, was when I kind of started. It started out with stocks, trying to get invested into the stock market.
Okay.
However, as that kind of moved on, I started looking at, as people would call it, diversification, looking into the cryptocurrency market and everything like that. And then as I started to learn more about cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin, and less or so with the other tokens out there, I ended up more equating what's happening last year with all of the money printing and stimulus packages and everything like that, and seeing how Bitcoin would fix that.
Okay.
And seeing that this is actually a better money and this is a better system. And a lot of the human factor in terms of supply dilution that we're seeing now and everything like that is actually solved by this new magic internet money, as we call it.
Right.
And
really quick, do you ever see us in the future maybe getting a stimulus package like in Bitcoin? Do you ever see that as like a possibility?
Not unless the government starts mining it.
At this point, they got to be mining something of some sorts somewhere, right? Like it would be incredibly, I don't want to say not inappropriate. It would be dumb. It would be stupid of them to just not be getting somewhere into crypto at some point behind the scenes, even though they may not be putting on the face, right?
They could. And I know there are some individual politicians who are very much into the digital currency, and into seeing kind of where they're invested into it and they're invested into the idea.
Okay.
I know that there's individual politicians. I don't know if the government as a whole would be interested in that necessarily right now, especially since they're so split on it. Like you see some politicians, they're like, wow, this is really cool. Bitcoin's really cool. It's a good idea. And then you got some there like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's used for crimes. It's energy inefficient. It's going to kill the world. You got people in both boats.
I kind of feel like, for me, anecdotally, crypto kind of had to start like how porn got really big. Like porn got super fucking, or of like 4K, like high definition video. Thank you, porn. You brought it to you brought it to the world, and I kind of feel the same about crypto. I remember back in my fun days of my friend buying us things off of the dark web, mainly the Silk Road and another website called Blue Light. It's crazy to think that there were internet forums where you could just buy drugs like you could buy artwork. Fucking insane. And I remember way back then, kind of crypto starting to creep in. And I don't think that I was as passionate or involved in technology to kind of grasp what was going on. But I remember my friend giving me this super brief explanation of like, yeah, I have to trade in this real world money for this fake money or like this untraceable internet money. And then he's like, and that's how I get the drugs. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense to me. How do you get to the Silk Road? What's the dark weeb? I couldn't process what the fuck was going on. All I knew is that I gave him money and then drugs came at some point after. And but again, always fascinated by it. So where in the crypto story do you want to start?
We can start at the beginning.
Okay.
So you can't really talk about the origin. Now, I'm going to speak from the Bitcoin, because if we sat here and talked about all of crypto, we'd be on Discord until next year. There's so many things out there. So unless I say otherwise, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin.
Got it. Okay. And is that the first?
Not the first,
really,
because there were others. There were actually other things before then, like B Money, BitGold. There was things all the way back into the 90s that tried to be internet money, cryptographic money. Yeah,
interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, look it up. Guys like Wei Dai, Nick Szabo, a lot of people tried in the past, but they've always encountered problems. And we can actually start there too. There's always been some sort of centralization or problems they couldn't necessarily solve at the time.
Okay.
There was a idea called Hashcash, which was kind of adapted into Bitcoin as the mining system. There was BitGold, which was also adopted into Bitcoin. So basically, Bitcoin was created by somebody who was kind of mysterious because we don't actually know who they are. A person named Satoshi Nakamoto.
Okay. I've heard that name so many times, but I never know in relation to what.
Yeah, no, he was the person that basically came out with the white paper, sent it to a cypherpunk mailing list back in 2008, and said, "Here's my idea. And read it and let me know what you think." And there was a lot of people who kind of dismissed it, but one person, there were a couple of people, that adopted it, and they're like, "Okay, this is a really good idea. I'd like to work more on this." So that was in 2009 when what's called the Genesis block was mined. And famously, that Genesis block included 3 Jan 2009, because that was when the Genesis block was mined. And then the headline, "Chancellor on the brink of bailout for banks." Because that was the mindset behind creating Bitcoin, is because this was after the 2008 financial crisis, and there were bailouts coming out left and right from the banks, money printing, supply dilution, inflation. And they saw this as a problem. And they created Bitcoin as a solution.
Interesting.
Yep.
Quick question. If you were the dude who got the first email, like, "I'm starting Bitcoin," do you think that you would have seen that email and said, "Yes, this is awesome"? Or do you think that you would have been like, "This is fucking insane. I don't understand how this could be possible in life"? Do you think that you would be open to the idea, or do you think that you'd be like, "What the fuck is this"?
I don't think. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I'd be one of the early adopters. I wasn't one of the early adopters. Even up through 2017, I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is even anything's going to come of this. Because, and that was back when Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know how closely you follow the Bitcoin's price. Now it's at $38,000. It's been up to $60,000.
Holy shit. So I know, I can't remember when this was. So we have a Stonks channel in Discord where all of our investors and our cryptoers, they post screenshots of things going up and down. And I would say that the first time that I started really paying attention to crypto is the whole GameStop thing. Like, that was like the big story where shit just started changing for everybody. And I'm like, okay, I feel like this is something that I really need to pay attention to. I kind of feel like I'm doing myself a disservice if I don't get involved, or I at least don't get knowledgeable in it. And I think one of my reservations is not necessarily the consistency or the reliability of it. It's my lack of an understanding of the general economy and like in investing. Like when you hear people talk about investing, that's a super intimidating term to somebody like me that didn't grow up with money knowledge. Like there was no parenting in regards to financials, right? Like I got my first credit card when I was 17 or 18. Fucking stupid. Parents taught me nothing about taxes. It was all TurboTax. And so when I hear the word invest, I'm like, oh, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what this means. But I'm starting to get to the point where I'm teaching myself about money. I would say that getting into streaming and having my own like side business, learning about taxes, and I've started to kind of get my bearings as far as money goes. But I would definitely say, for the most part, money's not my strong suit, and I'd like to learn more and change that.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I was raised by my parents saying, "Oh, investing is only for people who have a lot of money."
Yes.
So
Yep.
I was kind of led astray, and I was like, "Okay, well, I don't have a lot of money. I don't think so. Investing isn't for me."
I think another byproduct of Hollywood, the way Hollywood portrays investment and Wall Street and rich white men with money compared to the rest of the world. Okay, super interesting. Okay, I derailed you a little bit there. I apologize.
No, you're good. So basically, over time, I was at the creation of and release of Bitcoin and everything like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So basically, Satoshi was involved in Bitcoin for roughly 4 or 5 years after that, and then Satoshi just disappears.
Weird.
Nobody even knows who or where he is anymore. A lot of people think he's dead.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go.
Is that part of the reason why people have faith in it, because it doesn't rely on one person or one institution?
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. There's no trusted. It's basically a trustless currency. So basically, you're not counting on one person at the top developing it. It's a group of people, and there's not something at the top that's counted on to run it. It's a group of miners that run the network and secure the network.
Okay.
So, which are kind of, we can get into it later as we talk more about how it works under the hood. But
okay.
Basically, that's how transactions are processed through it, and how the network itself is actually secured from people trying to double spin their Bitcoin. Basically, trying to spin the same Bitcoin twice.
Got it. Okay. The one thing that I kind of have a hard time grasping, and I'm sure that as we get into the technicalities, I don't know if you want to get into that now and then stuff later, but like the one Bitcoin mentality, right? Of like one Bitcoin is how you said $60,000 right now, or it's back down to like 30.
It's 30. It's 39. I looked earlier.
Okay,
that was where it was.
Has it been up there for like the past year or so?
No.
And it was okay.
It only broke its previous all-time high of $20,000 around Christmas time.
Oh, this most recent Christmas.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So, do you want to do your best to kind of explain the basics of? I don't know if it's better to say the basics of crypto or the basics of Bitcoin, because I'm assuming that at its core structure they work the same, but I'll let you kind of explain it.
A lot of them do. So basically, how Bitcoin works. I'm going to try to explain this without getting too technical, but it's easily to slip down the slope of technicality when you're talking about cryptocurrency. So, at its core, Bitcoin, back in the old days when you would walk into a bank, you would hand them $20. And, there would be a guy with a pen and a big ass book in front of him who would just be like, okay, knackers come in, $20 on June the 3rd, 21. That kind of thing. Bitcoin has one of those too. It's called the blockchain.
Okay.
So basically what happens is, as you make transactions on the Bitcoin, each transaction is recorded in this ledger. And that happens roughly I guess I could say it like this. Each page of the ledger would be considered a block.
Okay.
And each page is only finitely big and it can only hold so many transactions. So as you fill up a page, that happens roughly every 10 minutes on the network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you would basically go and fill out these pages, and then after that, it's filled up, and then it moves on to its next page, next block. And at that point, that block itself would go to the mining community. What the mining community does is they try to solve without getting too deeply into it, they would try to solve a cryptographic puzzle to get a certain result.
Okay.
And then the miner that gets that puzzle solved first goes and presents its solution to the rest of the miners. They validate it. They say, okay, this is good. And then that miner gets, right now, it's 6.25 brand new minted Bitcoin.
Per solution.
Or for their first solution. It's only one miner in the world gets this.
Oh,
the first
okay.
Miner.
I was about to say, because that's a shit ton of fucking Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not everybody. Not everybody gets the Bitcoin. And then, that block is solved. And then the cycle just cycles every 10 minutes. And then that block is left forever. You could even go on to something called mempool.space. And you can see this happening in real time.
Minspool.space?
I'll link it to you in Discord. It's,
okay.
Mempool.space. And you can see these blocks coming in real time, and then they're solved. And you can see kind of what these blocks, there's one that was mined 4 minutes ago. It was block number 686179. So in the history of Bitcoin, there have been 686,000 blocks that have been mined.
Oh my God.
Yep, since 2009.
Okay. And does this page only tracks crypto or Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less. And that's by and large the major actually decentralized currencies all work this way with minor variants.
Okay. And this is where the warehouses of computer resources that are solving these equations. Can you put a number on like how many 3090s it would take to solve a single block?
Oh, it would be a lot.
Okay.
Mining is basically an arms race. There are purpose-built computers to mine. I think I just saw on Twitter that they're called ASICs. They're purpose-built for mining Bitcoin. I think that two 3090s would outpace one of those purpose-built computers.
Holy shit, okay.
Yes. So it would be, I can give you that equation. Two 3090s graphics cards would outpace one of those. They're really loud. They're like jet engines, but they're built. I think they're like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000.
Okay.
For those mining computers.
Okay. So did you say that the people mining when a block is solved? Did you say that multiple people benefit, or only the person that made the solve benefits?
Only the person that made the solve first benefits from. It makes both the block reward, which is 6.25 Bitcoin, and they also get the fees that people pay to get there, because everybody has to kind of pay little fees to get into the block.
Okay.
The higher fees get prioritized, and that also supports the network.
And who gets those fees, the payments of those fees?
That would be the same person, the first miner, the person that mined the block.
Yep. Okay. You said roughly there's one block every 10 minutes?
Correct. And the difficulty of the mining project will scale based on how many miners there are in the world. Okay.
So where does the person with a computer in their office kind of factor into this? Because I've seen people with warehouses. I've seen people with not tankers, the massive steel crates. Yes, that are on boats, and they're just filled top to bottom with just computers with these crazy high-end graphics cards. Where does that kind of factor into all of this?
Now, if you just have your computer in your office, that wouldn't be feasible for mining. However, you could still run a validating node, which basically what that does is you download the history of the entire ledger of Bitcoin. So you would get a copy of this book that we're filling out, and we finish a page every 10 minutes. I've got a node, and that you can do that, and you can actually help to validate that miners, the miner solutions, and all of the blocks that come in as they come in.
Okay,
you can do that, but it just wouldn't be viable because I think that the hash rate is 3 exahashes per second right now. Very, very high. And a computer, just a home PC, it used to be that way where you could mine it from a home PC, and that's kind of how it was intended. But like I said, the nature of mining is that it's an arms race, and the highest and fastest computers will get those 6.25 Bitcoin.
Got it. Okay. I had a question regarding, is there a size on a hard drive? Like, is there an actual number that you can put on the size of the blockchain? Like, are you downloading it in that fashion?
362 gigabytes right now, or almost 400 gigabytes. Yeah, that is 12 years of blockchain. It's actually getting pretty close to 400 gigabytes.
Oh my God. So I'm gonna do some math with my calculator here. 400 divided by how many years? Or so 13 years. So 13
roughly
times 12, so 156 months. 400 divided by, what did I say? 100. Fuck. 12 years.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to figure out how many gigs a month it's growing. Like how many gigs a month it's grown since its inception.
Each block is going to be 1 megabyte. So I don't know.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how many gigabytes a month it would grow.
Okay, and I'm assuming that as more, and somebody in chat's gonna figure this out. I'm assuming that the more people that get involved, the faster the blocks are growing, and then so the size is only going to keep growing and growing and growing.
Right, and you got full nodes, then they're going to have you're going to have to eventually replace your hard drive.
Right.
Mine's 1 terabyte right now, but you're going to need higher at some point. And then keep in mind that over time, more people are going to be using it. And you've got all the transactions in the memory pool as well, where you've got several megabytes that are just waiting to be processed.
And that's sort of like a group effort thing where those are, I guess where I'm getting lost is the sharing of the role of the solving. This is still like so over my head. Like I'm trying to grasp kind of how it all works together. And because it sounds like I don't work this hard for my regular money, right? Like the transaction of employer to employee is so much simpler. And I think that's probably where a lot of people are getting lost is when they hear about hashing and mining and solving problems. People are like, what the hell are we talking about? How about I work a 9 to 5 and you guys you just put money in my bank account,
Right. But And that makes sense because that is easier. But the thing is that you've also got, as we've seen the last year, government will just print more money,
Right.
and they'll basically dilute that money that you're working your 9 to 5 to earn. So I'm pretty sure I saw earlier that 25% of the money supply was printed in the last 6 months.
Like US dollar, or you're talking like world currency?
The dollar. I'm only talking the dollar right now. I don't know about the rest of it, but there are countries that have gone into hyperinflation as well.
Okay.
Several of them.
That is a shit ton of printed money.
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous. And then those countries are actually embracing Bitcoin because Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And I've got in my Twitter bio, infinity over 21 million. And that means that if the supply of a dollar will be infinite, it'll constantly grow because the government will continue printing money. And there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Infinity divided by 20 million or 21 million, the dollar value of Bitcoin is infinity.
Okay.
That Bitcoin is basically designed to pump forever as long as the government keeps printing money.
Okay, so when it comes to the amount, how many Bitcoin are there now? Oh, I guess how would I describe this? Are there a certain amount of Bitcoin discovered or solved out of those 23 million?
I believe that right now it's 18.5 million.
Oh, wow. So we're actually pretty close.
Right. I believe that the last block, people did math, the last block that's going to be mined with a Bitcoin mining reward that's minted is going to be 2130.
20. Oh, wow. So we're not. So I think we're close, but we're not that close.
Far out. Yeah, no. So how that basically works is that every 4 years, you're going to, or roughly 210,000 blocks, 210,000 blocks. You're going to have the reward for mining Bitcoin halved. At the beginning of Bitcoin, God, why am I so slobbery right now? Okay. Jesus.
Just foaming at the mouth talking about crypto, baby.
Oh yeah, I'm rabid. But basically every 210,000 blocks, you're going to have, it started out where it was, I think, 50 Bitcoin. But then in 2013, that reward for mining blocks halved to 25 Bitcoin.
Okay.
2017, it halved to 12.5. Right now, it's 6.25. And that's going to continue to happen every 4 years.
Okay.
Or every 210,000 blocks.
And we're specifically talking Bitcoin again, just to reiterate, the max amount of Bitcoin is just that cryptocurrency, not the other cryptos as well.
Right. No, yeah. All of them, some of them have no max. For notoriously, Dogecoin. Everybody talks about Dogecoin. Dogecoin does not have a maximum. Dogecoin will continue to have supply introduced forever. It never is going to have a cap.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
Okay.
Bad thing. It's good because you don't have that. You don't have. It's not. I think that. God, I don't remember how many is introduced per month, but it's more than the total supply of Bitcoin.
In regards to Dogecoin?
Dogecoin, yes.
Okay.
In regards to Dogecoin. But
so I guess we're facing the same issue compared to like us printing money. Like if you can if you can keep continuing to print Dogecoin. Okay, I gotcha. I think I've actually tweeted that exact thing in the last month. That's ringing a bell in my mind. Where if you're just going to buy something that will just continue to have supply introduced into it continuously, why not just keep your money in dollars? Right.
So,
so why isn't that a deterrent? And I mean that in regards to there being a cap. So it's harder to mine as time goes on. There's a cap to how many Bitcoin can be mined. and you need an insane amount of hardware in order to mine it. But I guess maybe there's a difference between you can just be somebody who has Bitcoin and somebody who mines and has Bitcoin.
Right.
Should everybody mine Bitcoin?
They can. But like you said, and there are pools of Bitcoin mining that you can do where you can compete with kind of a lot of the exchanges for Bitcoin, things like Coinbase. You might have heard a lot about Coinbase.
Yep.
People like Coinbase have their own mining things that they do. They have their own mining. They do their mining themselves. But there are people that kind of group together with all these purpose-built hardware pieces that can work together and try to compete with that.
Okay.
Now, you do still need that hardware, but you don't need a barge sitting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean full of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you've got like a rack, I don't have a rack sitting right there, but if I did, I could take my rack and be like, okay, well, I've got this rack of 3090s that I can do some mining on. Can I join your pool? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, join up. And then you can have a chance of getting that, and then that's split evenly between everybody.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you don't necessarily need all of that hardware. I think that if you have if you know what you're doing and you have the desire to mine, you can mine. But I know it's not for everyone.
Sort of like investing your U.S. dollars into the stock market or into real estate or whatever. Right. Okay, interesting. So I kind of want to wrap back around to the start of your notes here, where you've got trustless and nodes. And I'd like for you to get into, because I think the trustless, having it decentralized is one of the concepts that I failed to kind of grasp in the beginning. So can you spend a little time on that?
Yeah, sure. So basically what happens is with dollars or other fiat currencies, you've got a central authority you have to trust. You have the Federal Reserve. You have the government. You have to trust the government not to dilute your money by printing a whole bunch more trillions of dollars. You have the Federal Reserve that you have to trust to have your money when you need it. You have your bank. You have to trust your bank that they're going to approve your transaction when you swipe your card. So Bitcoin does away with all of that and just puts computers in control.
Okay.
All of that is run by software. You can have it so that trying to think of a way to say this that's not like super technical, because it's really, like I said, it's really easy to get technical. You can make it so that the only person you have to trust is yourself.
Okay.
You can go through and you can have a transaction that you can send a link to somebody and they can look and, oh, wait, you did send that money to me. And, if you're waiting for the money to clear, it's because you've got all of these things like mempool where they've got the blockchain downloaded and you can reference that anytime you want. Basically, that everything in the blockchain is frozen in amber. That's what I like to say. I heard somebody say that and it's genius. So if I was to put on the blockchain, I shot JFK and signed it with my cryptographic key and put it out there on the blockchain, I couldn't go back later and say, oh, no, I didn't say that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you don't need to trust someone to validate for you if you can validate it yourself.
Okay.
You can't do that when you're dealing with dollars in the banks.
Right. Who is the FDIC of crypto? Like, how is there no single point of failure that could, like, has there ever been a cryptocurrency that has just disappeared and that money has been lost? Is there a way that you can transfer? Can you trade in Dogecoin for shitcoin? I know I'm asking like three different questions at once, but you get what I'm saying.
You have Bitcoin particularly. Like I said, I'm going to go back to I'm only really going to talk about Bitcoin unless saying otherwise. So for now, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was designed so that there was no central point of failure.
Okay.
You've got all these people that are mining. If one of them goes out, for example, if China decides to say no more mining, you've still got people mining in other countries,
right,
to take over, and that difficulty will adjust so that those blocks still take 10 minutes. However, there are cryptocurrencies, and that's why a lot of people stick with Bitcoin. There are crypto currencies, and there's crypto things that have just vanished.
Right.
We call those rug pulls.
Rug pulls.
Yeah. So like they pull the rug out from under you, and your money's lost, and they're scams. That has happened before.
Okay.
A notorious one is called BitConnect, which I encourage you to read online.
BitConnect.
Have you heard of BitConnect?
The only reason I have is because I've heard Weenie scream that while we're playing video games. I've never known where the fuck it's come from. I just know that my girlfriend has screamed it in the past. In bed for some reason. I never understood that. Okay, so no central point of failure. I guess is there Bitcoin insurance? Does that exist?
Now we get into the hard part. Here's the thing with Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a responsibility. If you're going to secure your own money, you have to take effort into securing it because there is no insurance for things if you're taking it upon yourself to secure your own assets. But you have to realize that you're going to take more effort to secure your assets than the bank will.
Got you.
Do you trust yourself to secure your money, or do you trust someone else to secure your money? Okay. So that's where things like this come in.
That's right. We were talking about this in DMs before the show started. Before we move forward, is there, because I know I'm jumping all over the place with conversation. There's no possible way that I can steer this conversation in like a good fashion. So I'm like sort of relying on you to keep the conversation linear. Is there anything that we've talked about beforehand that you need to like clear up, or like have we moved in a linear fashion so far as far as like the explanation of Bitcoin?
There's no linear fashion, man.
Okay.
It's all over the place, and I can't. There's no good path through this, and it really just leads to. It's all about kind of going back and forth like this, saying, okay, well, I don't get this. And then I say, okay, well, this is how this works. Okay. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I was about to go back to what we were talking about, but
okay. I want you to go with that. And then, basically where I want to go next, once you explain the storage, is somebody like me getting into Bitcoin. Where do I start? What do I need? And what other basics are kind of needed at the start?
Okay. A lot of the stuff you need at the start would really be if you're really getting started and you want to go into just kind of dip your toe in, you could get on a site like Coinbase. I think they've got some nice explanations of Bitcoin. I wouldn't look into the other stuff because I don't know how long that stuff's going to be around. Again, with the rug pulls. Do
you think Dogecoin is a rug pull?
No. Dogecoin's been around for long enough. It's actually functionally, for the most part, it's very similar. It's actually a fork of Bitcoin. It's very similar to how Bitcoin operates. So basically, it's a very similar software. Is what I'm trying to say.
Got it. Okay. So I think I've heard Weenie talk about Coinbase because I know back when the GameStop thing happened and the AMC stock thing happened, she was like, I just wanted like get involved and fuck around and figure out what's going on. And I think this is the website that she mentioned.
Yeah. And Coinbase is kind of the go-to place to buy. You can buy it with like a debit card, everything like that. And and then that's it. They think I don't know if I don't remember if they have insurance or anything like that. So I mean, if you just kind of wanted to get involved a little bit, have a little bit of money in it, everything, that would be a good place to start. There's also a lot of resources online where you can read about Bitcoin. However, the next step I would encourage you to do after you kind of have an idea of how Bitcoin works is to take it upon yourself to self-custody, because that's what Bitcoin was designed for.
Okay.
It was designed so that you would have your wallet, and your wallet would be your money, and you take care of your money. And there are phone apps that you can start out with. I can suggest a couple if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of them is called Blue Wallet, which is both for iPhone and Android. However, if you have Android, I would actually suggest more a wallet called Samurai. Samurai is a very nice wallet. Both of those are pretty solid for if you're just starting out. Now, I would not keep large amounts on that. For if you were going to have large amounts of Bitcoin, you would want to get another place to keep, because I mean, if you have it on your phone, your keys are just sitting here. What if this gets stolen?
Right.
So if you don't have good security on it, you don't know if those people are going to get access to your Bitcoin.
Can anybody, if somebody found your phone and found, I mean, is a Bitcoin wallet a folder? Is it a file?
It would be, at its core, it's a file.
Okay.
It would be a file with your keys on it.
Got it.
But
okay.
There are graphical interfaces which can read that and present it in a more friendly manner.
Gotcha. Okay.
But at its core, it's basically a file with your private key and everything like that, and you can which you have. Now, I'm trying to think of where I was going to go with that. After you have, I heard it explained to me like this: if you have enough money to pay off, if you end up having enough Bitcoin to pay off your car, you would want to keep it on your a hardware wallet, which is something like this. You would have these little pieces of hardware. The key would then be kept on this, and it makes it so that you have less of a central point of failure. This is actually called a Bitbox. It's a Bitbox 02, and you can carry this around with your laptop. You can stick it in a safe. It's up to you. Like I said, it's really in your hands. But that is something you can upgrade to later on if you end up really liking self-custody and saying, okay, well, I can take care of my money better than a bank can, and I can take more effort to secure it. There are people with a lot of money that have it so that they're secured in multiple locations. Like, for example, they may have 4 of these all over the U.S. in 4 different bank deposit boxes, and you need 3 of them in order to even get into your wallet.
Oh, okay. So you can kind of separate it out. And is it your entire wallet of Bitcoin is spread out between those 4, or you just need the information of those 4 in order to access your wallet?
It would be something where you would it's something called Shamir secret sharing, which is actually a pretty advanced technique.
Okay.
So you would basically spread out. There's different methods to do this, and you can basically. It could be a matter of repeating your key between 4 to 5 different metal capsules and putting them, one in California, one in New York, one in Oklahoma, whatever. But you can make it so that certain ones are repeated, and just split it into like 3 parts, like thirds. You can, because I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole here.
No, I got you.
Finish one idea before you finish another. before you start another. There's many ways to do I think it's SHAMIR, secret sharing. Yeah. There's a lot of resources online and information about it. Another way you can do this is called multi-signature. So basically what that does is you can have software on your computer and you require multiple wallets in order to sign a transaction and send it to the memory pool.
Okay.
And you can have it so that you have a Bitbox, you have something on your phone, you have something in a bank deposit. So you need multiple signatures, and that is definitely a more advanced later stage. If you have enough money to pay off your house, get that. But
okay.
Anything less than that, would probably be overkill.
Gotcha. So I'm trying to wrap my head around this. When you have Bitcoin in a wallet, you could have it in Coinbase or have it on a hardware like a Bitbox. I don't know if you can have that one or the other. I don't know if that's what you're saying. Okay. So if I have a bank account, like I have an app in order to access that money. The money doesn't physically live on my phone, right, or virtually the money is in the bank.
Correct.
If I have my entire wallet in a Bitbox, in a safety deposit box, is the only way to make transactions to physically get access to that Bitbox?
Ideally, you would also have a backup.
Okay.
That key that would be on your Bitbox. Because this Bitbox doesn't actually physically have your Bitcoin in it. All it does is have the key to your Bitcoin. So, for example, if you were to take your backup of your key for your Bitbox and put it in your phone, you'd still be able to get that Bitcoin. You don't physically need that particular piece of hardware. If you have the same key, you can still gain access in other ways.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. A common theme that I've seen is as far as crypto and Bitcoin really starting to take off again, there are people who are finding USB drives or CDs or archives of their personal data and then end up finding crypto or finding Bitcoin and then losing access to it because they don't have the password in order to get access to it. And after like so many tries, you lose it or it's gone forever. How does that work? Am I even explaining that correctly?
That's how they explain it. That's not a thing.
Okay.
If they lost their password or what I'm assuming is their private key, that's on them. They should have had backup.
Okay, and that's what I think I've found is that there was somebody who had, I don't know, maybe like 100K or 200K in Bitcoin after the jump from the $20,000 to $30,000 Bitcoin value, and I think he had used 7 out of 10 private keys, like tries to get into the Bitcoin, and it's just fucking sitting there because he doesn't know what the password is. That fucking sucks. I
don't know what that. Yeah, that person should have probably done more diligence in backing up their Bitcoin, especially if they had that much. Because even if you have a little bit, you don't know how much that's going to be worth tomorrow.
Right.
So you need to you've got to, like I said, you've got to be more, at least as proactive, if not more, in protecting your Bitcoin than a bank would be protecting your dollars.
Right, because you've got not only interest, but like you've got a very high personal stake, kind of in your your like. Nobody cares about somebody else's wallet, right? Like you need to be able to maintain your own because nobody else is looking out for yours.
Exactly. And that's why I don't keep my money on Coinbase. Imagine if I went to your house, put a big cardboard box full of cash on your counter and said, make sure nobody touches this. Would you have any stake in doing that?
I would have a stake in making it my stake, right? You know, like the thievery aspect of it. Yeah, but yeah, there's no obligation, no responsibility to protect that for you. Right, yeah. Right.
If somebody walks in and says, give me that money, you would just be, oh okay, here you go.
Give me your
my
fucking
house.
money.
yeah. Just get out of my house, please.
Hello, please leave. Take this cardboard box.
Full of cash. Yeah, but you don't. They don't have as much of a stake in your money as you do. So it's ultimately it's very empowering, but you have a responsibility to secure your own money when you're in self custody of your crypto.
So I've heard you talk about the blockchain and the ledger. Is there one ledger per crypto? And do you have a personal ledger? Like, can you log in and see only my transactions, just from like an organizational standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the wallet software typically has it so that you can it'll look at your addresses and just be like, okay, this address, you sent this, you received this. And your wallet software will usually keep track of your particular transactions.
And then obviously that's public to anybody. Anybody and everybody can see any transaction, right?
Right, but it's not personalized. It doesn't have personalized information for you. It's going to be pseudonymous. It's only going to have your wallet that you received it on.
Okay.
For that. For that transaction. It won't be like, okay, Knackers sent this to Arcadys, sent 2 Bitcoin or whatever.
You just see that the amount was.
It's going to be like BC1XGWF sent it to BC1XNDW. That's what it's going to be like. And you can look at mempool and see all of those transactions happening in real time. Now, there are things that the government is going to do, things like KYC. And if you wanted to avoid KYC, there are ways to do that. But they're going to do things to try and de-anonymize those wallets.
Interesting. Okay. And is that a good or a bad thing? Depends on who you ask.
I'm just going to say that I am not trying to avoid KYC.
You are not trying to avoid KYC?
You heard what I said.
All right. I got you. I got what you put down.
That's all. You heard me. Please don't arrest me, Mr. Government.
What is the largest transaction that you have personally seen, amount wise?
10,000 Bitcoin.
Holy fuck! That's fucking massive.
Yep.
Oh my god! And you said how many transactions are there? You said there's 200,000 per block.
It's the block itself is 1 megabyte per block. That's not necessarily a hard cap for how many transactions, but the transactions in total have to be less than have to equal or be less than 1 megabyte. Otherwise, the block will complete itself, and it'll move on to the next one.
So that transaction is $300 million. Yep. That is fucking insane.
It's actually very famous. It's called the Bitcoin pizza transaction. It was back in 2011. Somebody bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin.
Bitcoin pizza. Mm-hmm. Sorry, what was Bitcoin Pizza Day? Would that be it?
It's transaction. It's that's the funny thing is that it's actually marked as like a Bitcoin holiday because that's the day that somebody went and spent 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 Papa John's pizzas.
Fuck Papa John's of all goddamn pizza. You fucking moron. How could you do that? Oh my god. So yeah, the Bitcoin pizza is worth $382 million today. It is up 1% from yesterday. That are the type of origin stories that I fucking love. Oh my god, there's a Bitcoin pizza account that just tweets out how much it's worth every single day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was so I guess it's not about, because it wasn't 300 million in 2008 or 2009. Do you remember what the price of Bitcoin was all the way back then?
It was. I don't know if there was one. This was before. This may have been before all of the because basically what sets the price that we all see is Bitcoin exchanges or cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase, like Kraken, like Bitfinex. There were none of those back then. Bitcoin was what people said they were. That was the value. So this person was like, okay, well, the 10,000 Bitcoin, that sounds like $2. That sounds like $20 to me, you know. So
interesting. It looks like. Sorry, I was just scrolling through this Twitter account. It looks like in April and May, the value got up to 600 million. Was the value? Depending, I'm guessing that's when that crypto went up to 50 or 60,000.
It was up in 62,000 around that time.
Fucking insane. Okay.
Oh yeah, it was. There's a ton of funny stories about like that in crypto.
Okay. Yeah, that's the kind of shit I love. Origin stories, weird, like off thing. I love that there is a Twitter account that's just dedicated to tweeting the Bitcoin pizza worth on a daily basis. One of my favorite Twitter accounts of all time is the one where it's all it does is on like Friday evening, it tweets a GIF of Daniel Craig at Saturday Night Live where he just goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend." And every fucking Friday I see that tweet and it's like, this is the start of my weekend. Like this is where it begins. And now I'm fucking happy because I've seen it. Fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. And then there's this website here where you've got all kinds of stuff like that. And you can see if you had bought Bitcoin instead of other things, you can actually see how much that Bitcoin would be worth today. So, for example, I just clicked it. It's called bitcoinorshit.com. If you bought Bitcoin instead of the social network in 2010, you'd have $4,500,000.
Jesus Christ. So if you bought Bitcoin instead of a fucking Philips Hue LED, you'd have $2.5 million. 68 Bitcoin. I love little novelty sites like this. That's funny.
Like I said, there's all kinds of stuff. It's ridiculous. But you're gonna get stuff like this with what we call a deflationary currency, or a currency that increases in value over time. You're gonna get stuff like that.
Right. I see there's I never look at chat except for today. Bourbonnator asks, what wallet software does Arcadys use?
I use Bitbox app simply because that's my hardware wallet that I have. And that's what it's made for. Because like I said, this is my actual hardware wallet. It's got my Bitcoin in it. So I'm really kind of kept in that app, and then that app connects to my Node, which runs on a Raspberry Pi.
No shit.
Yeah. No, it doesn't take much to run a Node. So I've got a Raspberry Pi sitting here, and it's sitting here, and it's downloading all the blocks as they come every 10 minutes. And
is that where you have your 400 or your terabyte hard drive connected to?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need a powerhouse in order to just have the ledger or the block. Excuse me.
I know. Yeah. No, you can run that. That's not intensive at all. I can give you if you wanted to run a Node, I can give you Node software. My suggestion. It's Umbrel. Getumbrel.com. Like umbrella without the la.
Okay. Ella, umbrella. Your personal Bitcoin node. Interesting. Do you carry your hardware, your Bitbox with you everywhere, or do you store it? I'm trying to find out when I need to rob you.
By no means.
Okay, good. So no matter what, it's still not something that you should just be carrying around with you like a debit card.
No, if you want to have your Bitbox, if you want to have Bitcoin with you, you want to take it off of your Bitbox and put it onto something like a hardware wallet on your phone.
Got it. And I loaded this getumbral.com in on the what a beautiful website, by the way. I'll just post in chat, and it says "Good morning, Satoshi" on the main screen.
Yeah. Everybody says has the Satoshi name somewhere on their website, and then if you scroll to the bottom, I think it says "Thank you, Satoshi."
Interesting. Oh, little paying homage. I love that shit too. Good job to whoever designed this website. This is like I enjoy this style of web design, even though it is all in light mode currently.
Yeah, no, I wish there was a dark mode too, but and then once you install that, you can just it's a ad hoc website that just posts itself on your router, and you can just type in umbro.local and it pops right up in your web browser. You don't need to have a monitor connected to it or anything. It's like a baby web server.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. It's actually really simple.
Where would you like to steer this conversation next? Is there any points that you want to highlight? Is there the next point that you want to go to that you have in mind?
So Bitcoin itself is great, but there's a lot of things that are being built on top of Bitcoin that is actually really cool as well. That will enhance kind of its scalability, and that's one of those is actually called Lightning. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I've not
personally. So what it is it's basically another network built on top of Bitcoin, which makes it so that a lot more people can, and that's part of Umbrel. That's actually also a Lightning node where you can connect to other people's and it has really low fees. Like if Bitcoin were to become your daily driver money, you would want to use Lightning because it's faster, lower fees. I think that you can, in less than a second, send Bitcoin across the world with Lightning.
Like a wire transfer, pretty much.
It would be similar to the layer that Visa would be on top of the dollar.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, because the dollar has these too. Dollar has, the base layer, which in Bitcoin's case would be Bitcoin, and then you got settlement layers. You've got Visa, you've got Venmo, you've got Cash App, you've got all of these layers that are built on top of it, and Bitcoin has those too. There are other layers that are built on top of it that are for other purposes. There are things like the Liquid Network, which is used for trading. There's a ton of people making projects on top of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is currently actually being voted on for a kind of an easier way. It's called smart contracts, which previously have only been really utilized by Ethereum, which is another currency.
Okay, that one I've heard a lot about.
That one is not as decentralized as Bitcoin, and there's no maximum supply on that either. So, but it's basically Bitcoin is beginning to have morph into kind of a smart contract software as well, which would make it so that a lot more things are able to be done with Bitcoin.
Okay. Is there a simplistic way? Is there anywhere right now in the United States where you can go somewhere and buy something with Bitcoin? Like you could with a debit card.
I live in Florida, and actually Miami is starting to do a lot of that. In fact, there's a convention right now in Miami with Bitcoiners at it, and everything there is being sold with Bitcoin.
No shit. And are they using QR codes to scan with wallet apps on phones?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And then you've got I did work for a little bit for a site called bitlift.com.
Get new titties with Bitcoin.
Hey, and then but it's basically sold a bunch of stuff for crypto with crypto. And it made it only accepted Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. There, you didn't even accept dollars. And it's there's a lot more are doing it. I think that Amazon's starting to get into cryptocurrency themselves, is what I've heard.
Have you seen or heard about anybody involving their body with Bitcoin? And what I mean by that is, have people been getting QR codes tattooed on them, USB drives implanted into their bodies so that their crypto is always like? Have you seen anybody gone that far with it yet?
Maybe somebody with a QR code, but I don't know about the USB drives or anything like that.
Scan a flash drive in a butt cheek or something.
I think they call that something else. No, they put a flash drive in their butt cheek. So, but
Keister.
The keister. No, but I think that I don't think I've seen anything particularly like that.
Okay.
The closest thing I may have seen is somebody. A lot of the time, people will do art, and then they'll put their QR code on the wall with their art, and that'll be a Bitcoin wallet.
I feel like I'm going to have you back on just to talk about NFTs, because that is like a whole another realm. I doubt we're going to have time to get to it today. But it's still, again, something that I'm super, super interested in, that I see getting attempted to be disproven or devalued more. And again, I don't know if the reason why people are have no trust in NFTs is the same reason they don't trust Bitcoin. They either don't understand it, or they feel that because nobody has control over it, it's just this free flowing thing. I've heard in the same way how people launder money through buying physical art, they're doing the same thing with Bitcoin and buying digital art. And again, that's just like a whole nother topic that I do want to get into, because I hear people talk about NFTs and I'm so fucking intrigued by it, but I don't understand a goddamn thing about it.
NFTs are pretty interesting, and they've got even because basically what an NFT is a certificate of authenticity for an item.
Okay.
So, like, if you were to buy an original piece of art, you would get, usually when that ships to your door, you get that art, and then you get a certificate of authenticity signed by the artist. Okay. What an NFT is it's that certificate made digital and signed by the artist with their cryptographic key.
Got it. And is there only one per art?
It's what NFT stands for is a non-fungible token. Let's go back to Bitcoin for a second. Bitcoin's fungible. Each Bitcoin is worth the same as any other Bitcoin. Each dollars are fungible. Each dollar, if you have a wallet full of dollars, they're not going to look at one of your dollars and be like, oh, well, this one's a little wrinkly. This one's going to be worth 75 cents, and that one's going to be worth $1. No, they're all interchangeable. You can use any dollar and it'll be worth as much as any other dollar.
You just brought up a really great point. Can you rip up a Bitcoin, theoretically?
Bitcoin. Okay, there's many different ways you could be saying this.
Okay.
So, if you are you saying can you destroy a Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yes. You
Okay.
can send it to an invalid wallet,
and then it just disappears.
You can't get it anymore. And in fact, a lot of people in the early days did that, so that as more Bitcoin was mined, that price would go up, because you wouldn't be able to access. They're basically artificially decreasing the supply of Bitcoin. So it would. So okay. So exchanges, they basically have a pool of Bitcoin that they sell you. If they can't access that old Bitcoin, because you can't access that old Bitcoin because there's no private key for the key you sent it to.
Okay.
You are going to have to pull from those pools. And that means that more of those orders are going to be fulfilled. I'm trying to figure out how to.
I love this, by the way.
Yeah. More of those orders are going to be fulfilled at higher prices.
The more
Get new
invalid
Bitcoin
tokens
whatever.
that or the more invalid transactions that happen.
Mhm.
Okay, and there's no like street sweeper that's coming along and scraping up all the invalid tokens. Like once it's gone, it's gone.
Gone. Exactly. So you can't. It's like if it's not like if you were to go and send your money to you leave out a number in a bank account. If you tried to on a clearinghouse that money over to your bank account, it's not like the bank would come back and okay, this wasn't a valid. No, the network trusts that if you're sending it to a wallet, that wallet is basically the right wallet, and it has a private key, and you know this person that you're trying to send it to sent it to the wallet to you properly.
Interesting. Okay.
Which that is a thing that you need to also take care to look at is that you usually when you have something like a hardware wallet, you have a wallet on your screen and then you have a wallet on your device, and you actually have to compare it, because what if that wallet on your screen is compromised and it's showing you a wallet up there that's right, and then you're down on your device where that transaction is being signed? What if it says a different wallet and somebody's trying to steal your Bitcoin? People are crazy. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So you got, like I said, you got to due diligence. You got to make sure that your Bitcoin's safe and that you're sending it to you're actually doing with it what you think you're doing with it.
By the way, regarding banking, Weenie and I ended up going with One Financial. They had just recently, for anybody unaware, Weenie and I used to use a bank called Simple. It was a brick and mortar-less bank, online only, that just ran on your phone. There was a website, and then there was an app. FDIC, awesome. What's that?
Simple was awesome.
It fucking was. And I will say, One Financial might end up being better than Simple. It's really early to tell, and I don't know. But so far, it's been pretty good. They, instead of having goals, they have pockets, but each pocket has the opportunity to have its own account number and routing number. So you could set up auto pay to just pull from the goals, kind of like that you would with the expenses, but you just have account numbers and routing numbers that pull from those directly. So when I set up Venmo last night before I went to bed, I only use Venmo to send rent to my landlord. Instead of putting my main bank account number in Venmo, I just put the account and routing number to that pocket where I put my rent money every month, and then it just pulls from that.
Now, does that have its own debit card as well, or is it just a routing and account number?
So instead of you having a physical card, what you can do is change which pocket the debit card is attached to. So like if you're going on vacation and you're like, okay, I got $2,000 in my vacay fund, switch over to that for the vacation, and then you know that when you're spending money, you're just spending vacation money. And then when you got back, you can switch your debit card over to the other pocket.
See, I've got that pulled up on my other monitor. I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah,
it's I love this stuff.
Yeah. So and now that, again, when we were talking about like features of Simple compared to, let me backtrack real quick. The reason we loved Simple so much, chat, is because it simplified banking and it made it so much easier to know what money you had and what money you didn't. When you had your main account balance was called safe to spend. So if you get paid $1,000 and that Friday night you swipe your card, the minute you swiped your card and you looked at your balance, it would show that money was gone. No pending transactions, no waiting for things to clear. As soon as the money was gone, it was gone. So you always had an exact idea of how much money that you had to spend. They also had another feature called goals, to where I could create a goal for rent, car insurance, and utilities. And every paycheck, I could distribute money to those goals, and it would pull it out of your main safe to spend fund. And it just made it really, really easy to know how much money you had and where it was and when it was available. Push notifications every time you swiped your card. Weenie and I could send each other money instantly back and forth with no fees. And Simple ended up getting acquired by BBVA, and then BBVA got acquired by PNC. So all BBVA accounts are going to be getting converted into PNC accounts pretty soon, and BBVA fucking sucks. So if any of you have that bank, it fucking blows. And so One Financial was one of the most recommended banking solutions that had the same amount of features that Simple does. And so we've been using it for about a week or two now. And one thing that one of the selling points of One was that if you wanted, you could get early access to your paycheck. So like I get paid on Fridays. I got my paycheck deposited into my account yesterday. Like the money was there and able to be spent. Where they basically just front you the money for your paycheck until that deposit officially clears.
Oh yeah. I've got my bank does that too. It's a point, and it makes it so that you basically what happens is when they get that deposit from the Federal Reserve, they just give it to your account.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing that Simple did not do is that you had to wait till Friday for it.
Yep. And I thought this was a brand new thing. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are people doing this? It's just like giving you free access to your money, or early access to your money, not necessarily free access. So far, it's been cool. Being able to have the different account numbers for the different pockets has been awesome. Weenie can actually share a pocket with me, and I can deposit money directly into it instantly.
Oh, that's cool.
So fucking huge. It eliminates our need for having a shared account, which to me was always just way more cumbersome. And now what I've actually done with this transition from Simple to One, we've got rid of the shared account, and I'm just using my credit card to pay all my utilities just to rack up daily cash money. And then we just pay our utilities at the end of the month with the money that we set aside.
Ooh. Nice. That makes it simple.
And I cannot, for the life of me, understand how people bank without the features that I'm talking about. Like, we use BBVA exclusively for probably 3 or 4 weeks. Having all of my money in a single account balance, having these transactions not clearing, never really knowing how much money I had at any given moment, it was a fucking nightmare. I'm like, how... If I'm setting money aside for a vacation or for a piece of hardware or a utility, like it's just sitting in this single pool. And I understand that if you wanted to get nitty gritty, you could set up a spreadsheet and do the math and subtract what your utilities might or may not be.
Yeah, that's what my dad does.
That's fucking insane. Like, how did I do that for the 5 or 7 years leading up to having Simple as a bank? So if any of you are curious about what I'm talking about and you kind of want an explanation of how it works, please hit me up, because there are so many better ways to do banking. I have not had a brick and mortar bank aside from my business bank for Knackers, and I'm coming up on 8 years. So I have not stepped into a bank for close to a decade. Direct deposit goes right to the bank. When I need to deposit a check, I take a picture of it. It goes to the bank. Dealing with cash blows, but I never have cash. I never need cash. The only time I need cash is when I need to go to Ernie's to give me a sandwich because they're cash only. That's the only time.
Yeah. That's the hard thing about online banks is like you need cash, or if you get cash, you're kind of just carrying cash.
Exactly, which I fucking hate anyways. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'd love to tell you about it because I feel like I can open your eyes to what banking could be, how simple it could be. The lack of fees, always having an eye on your pool of money. It's been fucking amazing so far.
Ooh, I'm intrigued by this. I like it.
What was the invite only bank that you had sent me, or at least told me about before I got into One?
Oh, it was Cred AI.
That's what it was. Okay, yep.
Yeah. Cred AI is it's basically a credit card that is automatically paid every month, and you don't accrue any interest on, and it helps you build your credit, and then but still functions as a bank account. It's actually really cool. I've been testing it since mid to late last year. It's very, very cool. And then it's I think that they said they market themselves as if Tony Stark made a bank.
That's right. Yeah. Which who the fuck doesn't want that?
Exactly. And it's
really quick. Can you entertain chat for like 60 seconds while I pee? I chugged this 40-ounce thing of water, and now it's all just building inside me.
Oh boy. Okay. Should I strip?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah, man. Let me limber up.
But by the way, nervousness levels check-in from how do you feel compared to the beginning of the podcast?
Better.
It's just like talking, right? We're just sitting here chit-chatting.
Yeah.
Good
just
shit.
Two dudes chatting about stuff.
Just guys being dudes.
You're being dudes, man.
All right, give me 60, 90 seconds. I'll be right back. You can have them sit in silence. It's totally up to you. You have the power.
All right. Sounds good. So, chat. Just dudes being dudes. What's your take on Ethereum? I think I'd rather have my money in Bitcoin. Like I said, you don't have the supply cap of Bitcoin. It's not going to be as secure because remember what I said about the size of the blocks for Bitcoin? The block size for Ethereum is much larger, so it's not going to have all of the security in the nodes that Bitcoin does. So it won't have all of that security. I think there's some cool things being done on Ethereum. I think the idea of an infinite computer that can be done is very intriguing. I don't think Ethereum is money. I don't think Ethereum is. Also, chat, while Knackers is gone. So you should definitely use your Twitch Prime subscriptions on Knackers, HTTPS, www.twitch.tv/Knackers. Okay, he's back. Shh.
Hello. One thing that I wanted to illuminate too, with One Financial, like Weenie said above, you can have your direct deposit split up your paycheck. So if you want to send like 70% to your main fund, and then if you say like, hey, I want to take $100 a month and put that in my Twitch pocket, and then you can set up your Amazon Pay to only pull from your Twitch pocket. So your subs, when you buy bits or do tips, they all just pull from that one thing, and that can kind of help you keep super organized with it.
See,
Banking can be fun. Banking can be so fun, chat.
People think that banks are like one bank is another bank, but there's cool stuff being done in banking.
Yes, especially now, because 5-7 years ago, Simple was like revolutionary in its features. Like, what Simple was doing was unlike what anybody else was doing. And I remember having a conversation about Simple to like friends and family, and they're like, wait, what do you mean there's no bank? Like you can't walk in and deposit cash, or this sounds like a scam. And I'm like, it ain't. This is where it's going. And it's one of those advancements in technology that I have just constantly gotten hard over. It's one of those aspects of life that has just been made so much easier. And again, I think of like, how the fuck did people bank before this? So it's been fantastic. And I know when you get into buying houses and investing money and banking becomes a little bit more complicated, but for like the everyday Joe Schmo who needs a checking account, a savings account, and a credit card, it could make your life so much better. Oh
yeah. No, there's like I said, there's really cool stuff that's going on that makes things much easier. Because I mean, not everybody gets education. Unfortunately, okay, I'm not going to get into that, but not everybody knows how to manage their finances. They don't, and there are banks today that make it easy.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And you don't. It doesn't have to be that way.
It really doesn't. All right, my dude. Where would you like to steer this next?
So I was talking about halvings earlier, but did you notice? I said 2009 Bitcoin was created. 2013. bull run. 2017 bull run. 2020, 2021 bull run. Have you noticed anything?
What's a bull run?
That's when the price starts going up really, really, really fast.
Okay. So you said, what were the years again?
2009, Bitcoin was created. 2013 bull run. 2017 bull run. 2020, 2021 bull run.
Are those all like major economic shifts?
They're all halvings.
Okay.
The halvings are what sends. It's basically a supply shock. You're going to have those halvings, and those are going to send they're going to send Bitcoin into a bull run because you have less of those Bitcoins being introduced into your ecosystem. So all of those dormant Bitcoins that have just been kind of sitting there, and in exchanges just kind of chilling to be bought by somebody, those have to be drawn instead of somebody's instead of the new Bitcoin that is being introduced.
Okay.
So that basically sends. Let me see here. I'm going to see what our. Sorry.
No, all good.
So back in 2013, I believe Bitcoin was $15. After I think it was after 2013, and then it spiked up to I want to say 100. And
wait.
Down.
$15 as in comparison to today's 30 or 40,000?
Correct. One Bitcoin was back then was in the double digits.
Jesus Christ.
Really puts it into perspective.
Do you think that it could ever go back to being that much?
No.
Or is it just impossible now?
There's way too many people like myself who would just go, if it even got close to that much, they would buy.
Okay.
Like right now, you've got a kind of a slump that it's gone from 60,000 down to 35, 37. And it won't drop below roughly $30,000.
Okay.
Regardless of how many people are selling it. I mean, every time it goes after a bull run, it ends up crashing to roughly twice the price of the last peak of the last bull run.
Okay.
So last bull run was $20,000. So that means that after it peaks, which people are saying is going to be in $288,000-$300,000 range.
Got it. Okay.
Bull run, and it's going to crash all the way back down to $40,000. All the way back down to $40,000.
Right.
So that's how it is. And this happens every 4 years because of that supply shock that's sent into from the halving because of all of the so much less Bitcoin is being introduced into the ecosystem.
So that's an on purpose thing? That's like an intentional thing?
Oh yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It's part of that 21 million in supply cap for Bitcoin.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
And when you say every 4 years, that's like a routine every 4 years thing.
Well, it's every 210,000 blocks, but that follows roughly every 4 years.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But that's in short what we you can't predict Bitcoin. You can't predict the future, but we can look at the past and see kind of patterns that may happen in the future, and that's what it's looked like is going to happen. Is it's going to get like I follow people who like to put what's happening for this bull run above what happened on 2017's bull run, and it's like a mirror image.
Really?
It's all psychological. In the mind of the investor, you've got trade signals. I don't know how deep you've gone into you said you were getting a little bit into stocks, but you've got trade signals in stocks. You may think it's just a symbol on a chart, but what it really is psychological.
Yeah, I have not even gotten that far.
No?
Nope.
Yeah, you've got candlesticks. You've got like a little fat candlestick, and then you've got a wick beneath it, all the way at the bottom of a dip, and then it starts. But what you got to think about it like is the fat candlestick is where the change was, in that hour, and then it actually went down that low, but people got it back up. So people think it's more valuable than where it dipped.
Got it.
Which is actually bullish. I don't know. You probably know what bullish means.
I don't. Nope.
That means it's actually looks very good for going back up.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I just don't know where you're at.
No, that's all right. I am nowhere, which is the exact reason why you're here.
Well, it's good then, because that's makes it easier to do my job.
Right. Yep. How often do you find yourself in these conversations of like having to explain everything? Is this a conversation you like? It's so easy for you to have just because you've been kind of living and breathing it for so long.
I've had this conversation with different people. Actually, I was in Daytona Beach. I was on a family vacation, and I had this conversation with my uncle 2 days ago, roughly. In brief, not this whole conversation. And I've had this whole conversation with my parents.
Okay.
Who are 40 years old and don't really, they're starting to get it.
Gotcha.
But they don't, not yet.
Right.
They still got a little way to go. But,
right.
And then you, I find myself in this conversation, and from my presence on Twitter, I find people in my Twitter DMs asking me questions, and I find myself explaining things to them. Like, okay, what do you think about this? Okay, what do you think? How can I start? What are good tools to start? Where can I buy it? What is a good way to? What's a good wallet app to use? I find myself in little parts of this conversation every once in a while. I would like to be able to have this conversation more.
Sure.
Because I want to be able to spread awareness of this stuff. Because if I feel like if more people knew kind of how this worked, it would be a game changer for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. On your list of hobbies and obsessions, like what would you consider your number one hobby?
Depends on the day of the week.
Really? Okay, so you're all over the place. Where
I have certain. I was in games for a while. I would play games. I would play games. Well, lately it was since. Gosh, how long was I playing Destiny 2?
Oh man, you're a Destiny guy.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years. I'm pretty sure I played it started playing it not long after Forsaken. I played it through Shadowkeep. Played it through first season of Beyond Light. And then just the last couple of seasons, I've just been out of that simply because I've got other things to do. I like to experiment with things. Lately, I've had a coffee store online, Shopify I set up, and I've been selling coffee on a web store. It's called Sovereignty Coffee.
No shit.
Yeah. Here, I can send you the link.
Yes, please.
I can also post it in chat if that's okay.
Yes, please.
There we go. It's
That's okay. So that's what you've been talking about recently, because I know we've had conversations about different things that you've been working on. It's all making sense.
Oh yeah. So that's I've been working on that too. Actually, I've got to upload the picture of El Salvadorian Shilbu because that just came back.
Okay.
But That's what I've been up to lately. It's just kind of a little experiment I've been having. I've been going through. I've been world building a D&D world, which actually my first D&D game is going to be tomorrow on Friday, which I'm kind of nervous about. And that's basically prompted me to go down another rabbit hole of history about ancient Egypt and medieval Arabia. And mythology.
What the fuck?
Listen, man. Listen, when I tell you, it's all over the place.
Yeah. Where does Bitcoin lie on your list of prioritized hobbies?
It depends. Lately, it's been like, okay, I'm going to step back because now I'm going to lay low because I don't want to get somebody financially fucking wrecked. Well, I'm sure once it goes back up, I'll be more passionate in it. But like I said, I can't predict the future. I don't know how far it's going to crash, and I would hate for somebody to say, my biggest fear is for somebody to tell me, you told me to buy Bitcoin and now I'm financially ruined because you told me to buy Bitcoin.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop this for now and do other things. And it's funny because the Sovereignty Coffee is actually a company that's going to have Bitcoin on its balance sheet.
Oh, really? Oh, so
yes.
With that said, do you find that in its current state, even as well as you understand it, that being involved in cryptocurrency is more cumbersome than it's worth? And what I mean is, do you feel like there is a lot more progress to be made as far as the simplicity and efficiency of maintaining your cryptocurrency? Or is how it is right now as good as it's going to get?
I think that base layer, I think this is going to be as good as it gets, but I think that there is room for people to improve on top of it.
And I guess with that comes more opportunities for people to take advantage of the situation, because the more people, so it's kind of like a return on investment thing where you're going to have to learn a lot in order to grasp what this is. But with that learning period comes security. And alluding to what you were talking about before with the responsibility or the obligation to secure yourself. Like, if you're going to get into something like this, you need to be aware. You need to know how to protect yourself. You need to know, like, you need to have a great understanding of how this works. So, like, just knowing the difference between a mistyped character could mean that your money just goes into the fucking ether and never to be seen again.
Coming back, yeah. You just end up shooting it into space and nobody touches it ever again.
The next question I want to ask, and I don't want to derail you if you're in the middle of a thought, is Knackers or somebody in chat wants to get started with crypto today, wants to get started with Bitcoin. What do they need? Where should they start as far as learning? And what I mean, what do you need? Do you need Raspberry Pi and a terabyte hard drive? Do you need Coinbase, and do you just need Coinbase? Like, what is the bare minimum to get started with Bitcoin?
Bare minimum would be Coinbase. Bare minimum. I'm talking bare minimum.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to get start to self-custody, all you would need is a free app on your phone, Blue Wallet or Samurai Wallet. And there's actually services that are much better for self-custody people who want to buy Bitcoin.
And you said Blue Wallet was iOS and Samurai was Android, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually Blue Wallet's on both. And then you've got, so there's something better if you wanted to self-custody. It's called Swan Bitcoin. And Swan Bitcoin will actually go and pull it from your bank account and just start buying Bitcoin over time. You can do that weekly, daily, monthly. And it might be good for something like one banking, where you can kind of set it aside and have it withdraw directly from your bank account number, because that's how it works. You can't do it with like a debit card or anything like that.
Okay.
But you would have it do that automatically, and that's called we call that dollar cost averaging, because you begin to pull it out at different price points, and eventually that all averages out into as a lower price point than what you would have been if you just buy it, what you may have been if you just buy a lump sum.
Got it. Okay.
So,
and just to differentiate, having Coinbase is having your money in a wallet that is hosted somewhere, and then self-custody is talking about having like a Bitbox of you are actually have control over that file, over that wallet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd have physical control over that, because you would have this keeps your keys. This keeps your keys on it. So you don't necessarily have to finagle that digital file. You just have to protect this guy however you see fit. You can throw that thing into a safe. You can throw it into a bank account. You can throw it or bank deposit box. I don't even know what.
I wonder what's going to be the virtual equivalent to a safety deposit box, because again, going to the trust, like you are trusting that bank is keeping that safe. But are safety deposit boxes are those fire safe?
They're in the bank vault.
Okay, so they're in the vault.
I would
okay.
assume that they're fire safe.
Gotcha. Okay, that's
as long as the bank is, but you have to trust their bank is doing their due diligence on maintaining that safe.
Right. Oh my god, I just had a voice crack. Sorry.
You're good. Sound like Morty there for a second. I guess the closest thing you would have to a safety deposit box digitally would be a multi-signature wallet, like I said, where you'd have multiple wallets that would all be used to sign a part of your transaction.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. So you said sign a part of a transaction, so you need access to all parts in order to facilitate a transaction.
Or multiple of them. So you can have something like a 2 out of 3. If you can have access to 2 out of 3 keys, you can have that, and then you
that's interesting.
5 out of 8. Oh yeah. So there's only, or you can even have a 1 out of 5, so you can give 5 different wallets. If you have 4 people that own a company, and you want to have Bitcoin on your balance sheet, you want to have it so that each person can have access to that Bitcoin. It's kind of like a Bitcoin joint bank account. You can have it so that is doable with this multi-signature wallet. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And that's almost like a kind of like a method of multi-factor authentication, to where you need to have multiple parts in order to facilitate the move of the money, which I guess is a measure of security in itself.
That's exactly what it is. It's multi-factor authentication for Bitcoin.
Which, chat, if you're listening to me right now and you're saying, what is multi-factor authentication? I have failed. I have failed as a creator, as a streamer, as a content creator. 2-factor authentication on all the things, not 2-step authentication, 2-factor or multi-factor. It's crazy how many people I talk to. They're like, "What's a password manager? What's 2-factor? What are backups?" Yeah, thanks, Skippy. You motherfucker.
Backup OBS.
Oh, you motherfucker! Actually, there was a TikTok that I saw the other day where there's a way where you can make OBS completely portable. Like you can store all of your scenes, sources, media files, and stuff on a flash drive. Or a USB hard drive, and you can actually just bounce that around whatever PCs and have it be completely portable. So I thought that was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Wrapping this up, are there any final points that you wanted to go over? Any last things that you feel are crucial for me or the chat to know if they're new to crypto? And then I think there was either 1 or 2 questions that we can do from the Q&A.
I've hit a lot of it.
Yes, you have, and I applaud you for it too. Do you feel like you've been talking for 2 hours?
No.
Yeah, My job is complete. Fucking awesome.
Nope, I do not. I feel like I've just been talking.
Good. I love it.
But it's a lot of it. Maybe we could talk about NFTs if you wanted to, and their implications for different. Or we can do that later if you want to do that later.
You know what? I think I'm going to save that for. I think I'd like to have you back, maybe in a couple weeks to talk about NFTs because I want to have an uncaged amount of time to kind of dive into that. I would like to do a little bit of research myself and find points of conversation that I would like to hit on. I feel way less prepared for an NFT conversation than I do like a Bitcoin conversation. So I would love to have you back to talk about that as well because it's super, super interesting to me. And the one thing that you had on here where you have your cursor, the accepting Bitcoin as a streamer, I would love for you to touch on that really quick before we get into the Q&A.
Oh, okay. Well, I wrote a blog post basically for StreamWiki. It's regarding how to set up accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a Twitch streamer. You can do that by setting up a Coinbase account, and I have this detailed on a blog post. And there's a service that's called OneUpCoin, which basically goes and it serves up your public key on a kind of a little web interface, and that will make it so that people can kind of scan. I think it scans a QR code. Hang on.
Actually, I will throw a link to that in chat right now.
Yeah.
And for anybody wondering if you're listening and you want to know where to find this, if you go to streamwiki.com under the money, finances, and taxes, there's a blog post under getting paid. It's called Getting Paid with Crypto by Arcadys. And StreamWiki is spelled STRIMWIKI. Tom Chambers in chat with the fucking clutch. That is the streaming Wikipedia that I've been building over the past couple of years, where I just store a bunch of online resources and information regarding technology and streamers. So again, streamwiki.com, money and finances category, and then getting paid with crypto. And I will post that in chat right now.
Yeah. So step one would be I can post the link to the actual blog post as well.
Cool.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Oh yeah, that's what I put in chat.
Yeah, so you step one, you would create that Coinbase account that we were talking about. You sign up with your email. Get all of that. Like I said, you might have to appease Uncle Sam and give some basic KYC information. And then you can set up OneUpCoin, and you can just connect that directly to your Twitch. Connect that over to your Coinbase. That'll make it so that you can accept your, like we were just talking about, set up 2FA as well. Before you put any kind of finances attaching to your Twitch, because you don't want to lose that.
Right.
But then once you connect it over to your Coinbase, it should make it so that it just serves it up straight up to you, to your viewers. If you just link it to OneUpCoin / whatever, I think it defaults to your username. You should be able to, accept cryptocurrency that way.
Got it.
And it's actually really simple to do. Now, I personally would suggest going and setting it up so that you can withdraw it directly to your own wallet that you control rather than Coinbase controls. But I understand maybe not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
Which is fine. That's not for everyone necessarily. And you should definitely know what you're doing so that you don't have something where you lose access because you haven't freaking backed up your keys, and you're trying to rush into it. You got to know what you're doing before you do it. So I definitely would say if you're brand new, you shouldn't rush into self-custodying your own cryptocurrency.
Got it. Okay. Good to know. The last thing that I just thought about, and I can't believe my brain waited until the last minutes of this, taxes, income tax, as far as crypto moving back and forth. that a simple question to answer, or was that a complicated question to answer?
There's no simple question in terms of taxes. You right now it's treated as capital gains.
Okay.
So, for example, if you were to be given income in terms of Bitcoin, when you get paid, that would be considered the day you bought it. And if you were to spend it, sell it, those would all be taxable events. And you would then have to go and you'd have to calculate, okay, when did I get this? When did when did the taxable event occur? I don't agree with the fact that you're being charged capital gains tax on this, but what am I going to do? I'm just a dude sitting in a chair talking about dicks. So there's nothing I can do about taxes and
right,
everything like that. But whatever.
It is what it is, right?
It is. But I think it should be treated as just straight income, 20%. But capital, it's basically treated as capital gains because that price is just so volatile. Hopefully that changes in the future. Got it.
Okay. Alrighty.
And as more and more capital is locked up into that will change. It will become less volatile. You've already seen it. It's starting to become less and less of just crazy. Because if you look back at like 2013, it's wow,
up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Gotcha. Anyway. Okay. We have one question from Panzer Bjorn. Arcadys, can you give your personal take, or can you give your take on personal mining? I mean, people mining with the hardware they have without buying more GPUs, SSDs, whatever, specifically for mining. What crypto should people mine, if any?
So I actually had something where I would use a little program called Honey Miner. What it would do is mine more easily mined coins and then transform those over into Bitcoin. However, that service actually stopped, shut down their mining service like last week.
No shit.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm withdrawing this to my wallet and uninstalling it. So I'm not entirely sure what I will use now. I've been doing research into it, but there is a way to do it. You can go and you can actually mine it on mine other coins on personal hardware, and then trade. God damn it!
Brain's shutting down.
Not transmute. Jesus, I'm already in D&D mode. Freaking talking about alchemy and shit. No, trade it for Bitcoin. That's doable. Now mining Bitcoin straight on their network, you on personal hardware, you most likely would not have any luck on that. Gotcha. Like I said, it's just such an arms race.
Yep. And then I'm guessing that your answer to the question, what crypto should people mine? You're a Bitcoin guy.
If you can mine Bitcoin, with your resources successfully, do it. I would not say people should default to that.
Got it. Okay.
Because if ultimately you're just going to burn a bunch of your electricity if you're.
But if you're already growing weed, might as well just throw a fucking mining rig on there. Why not?
There you go. If just buy some ASICs, throw them in a bedroom in your grow house, whatever you want to do.
There you go. Well, dude, this was an incredibly enlightening conversation for me. I hope that somebody out there in chat was able to grab some info as well. I definitely have way better of an understanding than I did before, but of course, there's no amount of first-time knowledge that I can acquire that is going to cement my understanding for this. So I'm going to have to keep spending more time doing research, and I want to get involved. Basically, whether I'm buying 0.0001 of Bitcoin, but there's definitely something that I want to get involved in because it's going to be a part of our lives. And I want to get involved early so that I can have a good understanding for when it. And would you consider crypto to be mainstream yet?
No.
No? Okay.
95% of people don't own it. It's not mainstream yet.
Holy shit, 95.
That's what I've heard.
Wow. That's an interesting metric. Okay. Get in now. Liquidate your assets. Buy Bitcoin.
Sell your car. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That people online that say that shit. Don't do that. That's dangerous. That's a little bit too bullish, guys. There's such thing as too bullish.
Do me a favor. Sell yourself out. Feel free to shout out anything that you're working on right now. Any of your social medias, anything that you want to shout out. Now's the time.
I'm happy to answer any cryptocurrency and any kind of questions, Bitcoin questions on Twitter. Here, that's my Twitter.
Sweet.
I dropped that in chat, and I'm planning to stream D&D on on Fridays, but I'm going to Dungeon Master every 2 Fridays.
Okay.
First stream of that is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be in a homebrew world. I've worked so hard on it, and I think it'll be fun. Like I said, I'm just nervous about it.
Sure.
So, but that's going to be on my channel. I already linked my coffee company that I'm working on. I'm really kind of boring.
I would argue that for a long, long time. And by the way, for anybody listening, audio, his Twitter is SZ3KE. How do you pronounce that?
Zeke.
Zeke. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
You've completely gotten rid of your Myth username, right?
Oh yeah, no,
okay.
That's dead and never coming back.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Nobody could even pronounce that. Nobody could spell it if they heard it. Nobody could pronounce it if they read it.
You know what's funny is it kind of sounds like the name of a cryptocurrency.
It does actually. Yeah. It was funny name lore. It was actually a misspelling of a mineral that was used to that was meant to be an all cure.
No shit.
Yep. So that was going to be that's what Mithridatum is. Not Mithridatum, but Mithridatum.
Got it.
Mithridatum.
Fucking love username lore. Dude, thank you for being here. Letting me suck 2 hours worth of knowledge out of you. And I appreciate you giving me your time and the things that you've learned and being so willing to pass them along to not only me, but to the people that might be listening to this in the future. So I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you. Anytime. You guys can pester me about this stuff all the time. I love talking about it. So I'm gonna find a date for either June or August to get you back on. Maybe I'll have a wallet by then or an account somewhere, and I would love to dive more into NFTs, impact on the world right now. Where NFTs can be, going in the future. Because, like I said, very interested in that, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. That'll be fun. I can already tell. Awesome. All right, dude. I'll catch you later. I'll end the call, and then I'm gonna close up the stream here. So thank you again for coming in. All right. Thank you for having me. No problem, dude. I'll see you later. See you.